Hi, this is Eric Reynolds, voiceover artist, and you're listening to the Voiceover Marketing Podcast.
This is the Voiceover Marketing Podcast, episode number 61.
I feel for the operator, the customer service rep. They listen to people's problems and complaints all day long. Sometimes when I'm at home with nothing to do, I pull out one of the, my electric bill, and I'll call the customer service 800 number on it just to say hello. Give them someone to talk to, a break in their day. I try to bond with the operator. I've thought about doing the same thing for telemarketers, but they don't give out their phone numbers, but I'm working on it. I think about them and what they go through, how they're taking that one extra step for everyone. They're special, and I try to let them know that, let them know they're appreciated. There's nothing better than joking around with them. You're getting what you need from them, and they're just happy you're not cussing them out. The endorphins get flowing. Everyone's saying, you have a great day now, and bye-bye now, and you take care, and then you hang up. You know it's over for you, but they're on to the next call. You just hope you've given them enough of a lift to get them through the next unpleasant phone call they get. We need to appreciate more what the customer service representative does. I think about them all the time. They're my friends.
Hello and welcome to this episode of the Voiceover Marketing Podcast. My name is John Melly, and this is the podcast dedicated to teaching in-depth and advanced marketing strategies for people in the voiceover and audio production professions. My goal is to help you make more money by showing you ways to leverage your time, charge more for your talents, and allow you to spend more time doing the things you want to do in your life. The Voiceover Marketing Podcast is sponsored by the book Voice Over Legal by Rob Siglampaglia. You don't think you need this book? Here's a question for you. Have you ever been asked to do a celebrity impression for a commercial? If you have, you might want to think twice, unless you live in a particular state. You can find out why impersonations can be a problem, why you could get sued if you do one, and which state is exempt from all of that on page 28 of the Voiceover Legal book. Now, we've arranged a discount for you to save up to $5. That's up to 20% off the list price of the book, and you can support the podcast at the same time. If you're a voice artist and you're treating your business as a business, you need this book. Just go to voiceoverlegal.com. When you go to voiceoverlegal.com, enter the promo code VMP at checkout to save $5 off the cost of the book. That's promo code V as in voice, M as in marketing, and P as in podcast at checkout to save $5 off the cost of the book, and you'll support the podcast at the same time. Thanks. And now back to the show. Hey there, it's John. How are you today? Thanks for spending some time with me. I do appreciate it. I know there are a lot of things vying for your attention, so I appreciate you making the investment of your time to listen to the show. And I want to thank everybody for the great feedback that I've been getting in the last few episodes. Very much appreciated. You create these things, you put them out there, and you sometimes wonder if they have an impact. And when someone takes the time to reach out and say, hey, really love the content, or thanks for sharing those thoughts, it means an awful lot. It really does. So thank you for doing that. Last episode, I had some concern about my honeybees. This is the honeybee update of the podcast. We had close to 60-degree weather here in Boston today, and I'm happy to report that I had honeybees outside the hive buzzing away. I have no idea how many of those little critters are inside that box over the winter, but thousands, because they're still, after the pile of dead bees that I saw last week, I was really concerned, but somehow they keep coming. So I'm excited because this will be the first year that I've actually had them survive through the winter, which will be good because then the colony's established a little bit. They've got some stores built up for their foraging expeditions, so they'll get a good head start in the spring. Anyway, that's that about that. I want to let you know that we've had close to 95,000 downloads of the Voiceover Marketing Podcast, various odd and sundry episodes, and that's really cool. We're going to hit 100,000 downloads, I'm going to bet by the end of March. I bet we hit it sooner, but I'm going to play it safe and say by the end of March, we'll have over 100,000 downloads. So thank you for that. Going to take some Q&A again from the Facebook group. I've asked you what questions you have. I've also got a survey at the Voiceover Marketing Podcast group in Facebook. The question that I have in the survey is very simple. How many VO members here in the group edit their own voice tracks and audio? And the three options I have are always, all the time. Everything you record, you edit to send out to a client. The second option is most of the time you do a lot of editing, but sometimes you get to just record it and send the raw audio off to your client or a production house, and they take care of it, which is kind of fun. I also love editing too, so that's no dig on editing, but it for some reason it's just kind of neat to go, you can handle that. And I like it because people will be able to pick out what they want. You give them a lot of options, and if they're the kind of person that just doesn't mind sifting through that and getting exactly what they want, I think that's pretty cool. And then the third option is never. You always go into a professional studio or you have your own studio and the producer, the recording studio handles all the editing and mix down, etc. So do you edit your own voice tracks and audio? Always, most of the time, or never? Those are your options. Let me know. I'd be curious to see what your answers are there. Before I tackle the question I'm going to address today, I just wanted to share an interesting story with you. Amazing thing is something that I noticed about the human mind and the human brain. The other day, I had Ann's car, and it had a USB port in it, and so I was able to hook up. I have an older car, and I like my car, and I don't want to get rid of it. But Ann, I had to use her car the other day, and I had the USB hooked up to my iPhone, and I had Amazon Music Prime playing. I happened across Journey's Frontiers album. I was a big Journey fan. I still am, but back in high school, if you've listened to this podcast at all, you know I'm a Rush fan, a Van Halen fan, a Journey fan, pretty solid rock stuff. Anyway, I was listening to Frontiers. Now, there's this one tune on the album called Rubicon, and I don't think I've heard that song in 30 years, maybe. I know I'm dating myself. What was fascinating to me is I'm driving in the car, and I'm listening to the song, and I'm singing along with it. And I probably haven't heard the song, like I said, in about 25 to 30 years. And I remember it. That's amazing to me, that your brain can recall something from 30 years ago. And it's a cool tune. It's a very optimistic tune. I don't know, I was grooving along with it, but I'm sitting there thinking, I remember this. This like 25, 30 years ago. How is this possible? I just think that's really cool. Have you ever experienced anything like that? I think that it's just fascinating to me, and all the more reason why we need to take care of ourselves and our bodies because it all plays into the voiceover thing. Anyway, I was singing along the expressway the other day to Journey from 1980. It was 1983 that album came out. So, heck, that's 35 years ago. Holy Moses. Anyway, okay, moving right along. Let's dive into the question I want to tackle today. This one comes from Richard Baringer. How about marketing ideas specifically geared toward those of us just starting in the biz? That's an interesting question because I guess, Richard, first of all, thank you for posting the question and being a part of the group and listening to the podcast. Where do I begin? I think I touched upon it a little bit in the last episode, but let me step back for a second. It kind of goes toward the question of, well, my business is different. If you really look at it, most businesses are exactly the same. The product and service may change, but what a business needs to do is attract customers, get them to purchase a product or service, provide that product and service to the best of your ability and ethically, satisfy the client, get them referring, and get them to purchase from you again. And pretty much any business that you look at, that's a good model to have. So you want to be able to create the same thing for your voiceover business. You need to attract clients, provide excellent service to them, provide excellent products to them ethically for a decent price that's fair to you and to them, but never sell yourself short. Get them referring and get them coming back to you again. So all of those things that apply to any other business apply to your voiceover business. How do you do that when you're just starting out? Well, you kind of have to hustle. First of all, hey, Michael Bybee, you just answered my post on the Facebook, the survey. You always edit. That's cool. All right. Michael Baby on all auditions unless they're out of house, of course. And I've done some on VG sessions, video games, done at home as well. Very cool. All right. So we're getting answers on this post. So that's cool. Sorry for the digression. I will get back to your question right now, Richard. But anyway, Michael, thanks for responding. That's kind of cool. Yeah, Facebook, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to close that and get back. I'll actually minimize this. I have that open because I wanted to read your question, Richard. So how do you do that? How do you track the clients? I'll go to what I was talking about last episode in finding stuff that you like and creating products and services that you are interested in based on your experience. The first thing you have to do, obviously, is have a demo that's ready to be sent out. But I think what you also want to do is position yourself as an expert voice talent in a niche. There are riches and niches. And back in episode 36, I had an interview with author Susan Friedman, who'd written that book on riches and niches. The title of her book is Riches and Niches, How to Make It Big in a Small Market. If you haven't listened to that episode, Richard, I would invite you to go back and do that. And her whole point is that you can position yourself as an expert in a specific area of knowledge as the go-to voiceover person in that area. Whatever your interests are, you know what they are. You'll have to do that inventory. But if you can create and position yourself as the voiceover talent, that's one way to start. That does not mean that those are the things that you do exclusively. But the reason that I say you want to start there is because you have a working knowledge of that topic. And so you bring that level of confidence and knowledge as a backdrop to your recording sessions. That's one thing. That's a subtle thing. But here's what it does for you. And I've used this example. I'm going to use the honeybees because I've done the butterfly thing in previous episodes. And I'm tired of talking about butterflies, and it doesn't make any sense to talk about butterflies when I have a beehive in my own backyard, and I know a few things about honeybees. So let's just say I wanted to create a product about honeybees. And I did a thing on how honeybees swarm and how you can tell when the honeybees are getting ready to swarm and how do you prevent that. And I could record something like that and put it out there. And somebody out there who's really interested in honeybees would say, oh, that sounds interesting. I think I'm going to get that. People are passionate about things, and we all have things that we're passionate about. If I was just getting started in voiceover, I'd say, okay, you know what? I can record a bunch of audio presentations on various aspects of beekeeping. I'm not a professional beekeeper, but I've read an awful lot about it, and I own a hive in my backyard, and I have somebody come and take care of them for me because I got too much stuff going on already, and I think Anne would kill me if I decided to say, hey, you know what? I want to get one of those suits with a net over the thing and a smoker and, and then one of those centrifuges to whip the honey out of the honeycomb and filtering and trying to dump it into jars and all that. I think she'd look at me and go, don't you have enough going on? And she'd be right. I'm picturing that conversation. That's why I'm laughing. You know what I'm talking about. You've either had a conversation about that with your significant other, or you've received that request. Hey, I think I want to go hike the Appalachian Trail. When? This year. No, we've got to clean out the garage. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So, but you know what I'm saying? I could create that stuff. I could create a thing on honeybees. Let's say I was a beekeeper and I wanted to get into voiceover. What happens is that if you're a voiceover talent and you're trying to break into that, but you're known as a honey beekeeper, well, then if you're creating audio programs about beekeeping, then it's like, oh, there's John. Yeah, the John the beekeeper. Oh, he's doing an audio book on bees. Oh, that's cool. And so it becomes just a natural extension of what you're already known for, an additional service that you offer from the world that people know you. And they'll go, hey, that's pretty cool. I'm willing to bet that a lot of people in this voiceover marketing podcast group have had other careers where somebody said, hey, you should voice this, or you have a nice voice, or you've thought to yourself, oh, this might be an opportunity for me to voice something for the company that I work for. You know what I mean? I did the messages on hold for a business that I was a lobbyist for decades ago. And I would produce these, what they call audio talking points about the real estate industry. This is just how far back it goes. We'd have them duplicated on audio cassette, massive amounts of audio cassettes, and we'd send them out every month. It was kind of cool, but it got me in. It was like an opportunity to got my claws into something that I enjoyed. I was able to do something in the world that I was working at and say, hey, I can produce this stuff. Look for opportunities there if you haven't already left your profession, but also create stuff that you're interested in. Like I said, it becomes a natural offshoot or a product extension of the world that you're already in. What that does is it positions you, since you're already known in that world, then it means that you don't have to go, I'm just a new voice talent, so I'll just charge $50 for that. No. If you're a known beekeeper, you're a person of authority in beekeeping. Why would you discount that? It's like you're known as somebody who's knowledgeable, has good information and good content, and people will be willing to pay what that's worth. Your reputation and your standing. And that's what I mean about positioning. Position yourself as an expert. Then you have a body of work to pull from. And when somebody says, hey, I heard you voice that thing on beehive keeping, honeybee keeping, I have something that I want to do on, building a water garden in my backyard. I want to do a narration video on that. Interestingly enough, I did a voiceover years ago for this company called ArborJet. And what they were an arbor company, an arborist, and they took care of trees in the city. And they had this thing where you could inject nutrients into the tree. Okay, let's use that. John, you did this thing on honeybee hives. I've got this thing on how it injects nutrients into the tree. That's called ArborJet. How much would that cost? Well, for the honeybee thing that I produced, that was about $500. I'll do the session. Yeah, this looks about the same. Let's do it for $500. Oh, okay. That way you're like, just getting started in this voiceover thing. So, I don't know, $100? It takes all of that away. Am I making sense? I know I talked about this a lot in the last episode, and I know I've talked about it in other episodes, but really that's marketing ideas specifically geared toward those of everybody who's just starting in the biz. Aside from getting a worthwhile demo produced, showing that you have the chops, that would be the biggest leap I could give you that I can think of. And maybe I'm biased because I really think that this is a very powerful way to go ahead and build a client base and a product base and create assets for your business because I've done it. There may be other ways. I'm sure there are. There's all the other stuff. But one thing I would really recommend is don't do what everybody else does. Don't just put yourself in the voiceover commodity marketplaces, the pay-to-play sites. If you want to go there, go for it. There's value in checking it out. There's value in playing around with the scripts and auditioning and building your chops that way. And if you get some clients from it, great. That's awesome. But if you're expecting to make a living off of it, I think that's a pretty tall order if you're just going to do stuff on the pay-to-play sites. That's my opinion. Doug Turkel says you've got to have your own website. And I totally agree with him. He's 100% right. You've got to have your own real estate or cyber state or whatever it is, net state. Position yourself. And then that shouldn't limit you to just that genre of voiceover. But if you position yourself within a niche, like last episode I talked about voiceovers and audios for dentists. In the dental world, I'm that guy. If you want voiceover stuff, you want audio produced, go to see John Melly. And I've positioned that. I own that space. In certain genres of podcast intros, I own that space because I've had some really powerful podcasters sign me on to do their stuff. And, I get referrals from that. I was very fortunate there to have a few heavy hitters right off the bat that are still clients of mine today. So position yourself as the go-to person in something. And I'm suggesting that that something be about something you're already very knowledgeable in. And it doesn't mean you have to stay there. It just gives you a body of work to work from. I've said this 7 times in this same episode, and I'm repeating myself over and over. I hope that makes sense, Richard. You know, there's the other stuff that you can do about getting lists and sending out demos to agencies and talent agents and advertising agencies and all of that, and production houses getting on their roster. All of those things are great. You're going to have to do that. You're going to have to hustle, you know. Don't underestimate the task. It's going to take some work. If you can position yourself in a certain area, that's going to give you a leg up because you won't be competing with anybody, most likely. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you have more questions. How long have I been going on here? And if I chop half of this out because of the nonsense of the repetition, then all the better. Let's see. We're at 26 minutes. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up. That'll be the end of this episode. If you have any other questions, feel free to go to voiceovermarketingpodcast.com and use the SpeakPipe app on the right-hand side of the screen. I'm telling you, it's your direct line to my voicemail. Name, email address, record a 60-second question. Comes right into my email box, directly to mine, not even Mike's. Comes to me. And we'll put you in the show, as long as you're polite and nice. Well, even if you're nasty, we'll put that in too. I don't care. I'm impervious. At any rate, I want to thank you for listening, and I will talk to you next week. Take care.
Our program originates in the Boston studios. We hope you'll join us again. Until then, we bid you au revoir, keep your chin up, and the best of luck.
Well, that's it for this episode of the VoiceOver Marketing Podcast. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to it at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com so you'll get notices of new episodes, and please share it with your friends and colleagues in the voiceover world. Also, it would be a huge help if you'd like this podcast and rate it on iTunes to help keep it near the top of the list. Feel free to share your comments and questions about this episode and future topics you'd like discussed at voiceovermarketingpodcast.com. And if you'd like more information on one-on-one coaching with me and mastermind group opportunities where we focus on growing your business, feel free to drop me a line at my cyber assistant's email address at mike@johnmelly.com. Thanks for listening. Now go out there and share your voice with the world.